Hi there, smart drivers. Rick with Smart Drive Test talking to you tonight about road rage. Arr! Yes, though that thing which most of us over the course of our driving career, 10, 20, 30 years, you're not immune from. Stick around. We'll give you some strategies to stay safe and be a smarter driver on the road. Hi there, smart drivers. Welcome back. Rick with Smart Drive Test talking to you tonight about road rage and some strategies and tips to keep yourself safe on the roadway so you don't become victim to road rage because you don't know who's in the other vehicle. All that craziness. We're going to do a presentation, and then after the presentation, we'll answer any questions you have about taking your driver's test, passing your driver's test, or any questions you have about any of that. So Books for Life is here. Mallory is here. Hello, Mallory. Yolanda is here. Cameron, my friend Tim from DriveSmart BC. DriveSmart BC is a website that Tim has built here in the province of British Columbia. It has anything to do with road culture, rules, court cases, anything you want to know about driving and traffic and roadways here in the province of British Columbia. Check out Tim's website, DriveSmart BC, as well. Check out the forum over there as well. Excellent, excellent discussion by people involved in traffic safety and road safety and authorities and those types of people. Jason is here, taking my G test in Ontario in January. I think I'll do okay, but I'm driving like others do, so I got kind of unlearn what I've learned. Yes, you got to hold it together for the 20 minutes for your driver's test because driving is different than taking a driving test and the skills you need to demonstrate to pass your driver's test. DC Jello, hello. Aviation, hello from Colorado. Bluffer, hello. Just up the road in the Fruit Loops, my friend Rob is here. Rob, you changed your handle. You're throwing me off here. Rock City Driving. That is Rob, and he is in Sudbury, Ontario. Tim is here. Hello. Hello, everyone. So great night, and we'll get some information out to you. We'll have a great discussion as well. And as I said, do the slideshow presentation. I'll get over here to the slideshow presentation. Bricks for Wheels. Corey is the moderator. Corey does an excellent, excellent job of getting up any videos that I suggest to give you more details about what I'm discussing, what we're discussing, and as well keeps out the bad people. Because once you get to a certain size on YouTube, people for whatever reason want to spam you. And that happens. That's happening more and more often now. So Corey does an excellent job of all of that. So let's get with the presentation here. So tonight we're talking about road rage, talking about incidents of anger on the roadway. Most of them are minor. However, you can't trust who's in the other vehicle. So sometimes it can escalate to acts of violence. People using their vehicle as a weapon. So know that can happen, all right? Forgot how to use the computer here. Here we go. So for those of you new to Smart Drive Test, my name is Rick August. I was a truck driver in the 1990s. Worked for Greyhound, one of the regional bus lines in Australia. I was going to university there at the University of Melbourne. Became a licensed commercial driving instructor in 1997. Graduated from the University of Melbourne in Australia in 2006 with my doctorate in legal history, which is study policing, courts, and prisons. My expertise is in policing as it relates to traffic, oddly enough. So did that, taught at the university for a while, also taught people how to drive truck for most of my driving career. 2015, I started the Smart Drive Test YouTube channel and the online business, and it's been more successful than I could have ever imagined it was. So we're doing well. Video, have a look at this video, reverse park better. For those of you going for your driver's test, you will have to back into a parking space. This is the one maneuver that is universal. No matter where you are in the world, you will have to back into a parking space at the DMV at the test center. So know that and have a look at this video here, and Corey will put up the link for us. All right, social driving. This is what you're doing after you get your driver's license and you are participating in the act of driving on public roadways. You are participating in social driving, and the principles of social driving are hurry up and go, that you're not impeding other traffic or holding up other traffic, and other drivers will let you know if you're holding them up. And some of the learner drivers have said to me over the years that yes, other drivers will honk at them, and that's not uncommon. And as well, me first. I need to go first, and these, as I said, the two of them go hand in hand. Hurry up and go, and me first. And that peer pressure in driving is very, very real. So learning to drive and learning to drive well is also learning the skill of focusing on what you're doing, not what other drivers are doing. And also this ties into distracted driving, because it's very easy to get distracted by what other drivers are doing. Oh, did you see what that dummy did? Oh my God, they're such an awful driver and such a terrible person and they should be condemned, blah, 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 right? So we're distracted by other people when we're driving. So know that this is the problem that you are up against when you're learning how to drive and when you're driving every day on public roadways. You are participating in an activity with other people. It doesn't feel like it because you're sealed in a box on wheels, but that's what you're doing when you're driving. The driving task, and these are the things that are constantly in flux: the driver, the vehicle, the traffic, roadway, light, weather, and all of these can change a lot in a very short period of time. As you're driving down the roadway, you get up in the morning, you go out on a residential street, and the next you're on a multi-lane in the city, and then you can be out on an interstate or highway very quickly in a very short space of time, and all of that can change quite quickly. So, angry drivers. There are very angry drivers on our roadways, and I did a poll asking smart drivers what really ticks them off when they're driving. One of the things that ticks people off the most, almost half of all drivers, which causes them to bang on the steering wheel in utter profanities, is tailgaters. They hate tailgaters. And the other piece of social driving is, for most people, they drive in a manner that is reactionary. In other words, they're hoping that they can maneuver their vehicle in such a way that they'll be able to get out of the way of other drivers. And it's also retaliatory. The number of people over the years that have said to me, oh, when people tailgate me, I slow down 10 kilometers an hour or 10 miles an hour just to really get their goat, right? Because it's retaliatory. They're doing something wrong. We're going to punish them because that's part and parcel of social drivers. And as Tim just said here, there are bad drivers everywhere, and there's no doubt about that. Okay, so this is the number one thing that gets people's goat. And number two, at 26%, comes in quite a bit in second, is being cut off. And the interesting part about it is a lot of people don't even know they're going to cut you off when you get cut off. So, acts of aggression on the roadway are minor things such as horn honking, hand gestures, yelling out the window, telling you you're number one, flashing their lights, yelling, and idle threats. All of these are minor acts of aggression, and these happen every day when we're driving on our roadways and we have road rage and in that arena of social driving. So, major threats are using the vehicle as a weapon. And you want to see a funny incident of this, see the movie Fried Green Tomatoes, where the young women take the protagonist's parking spot and they're like, oh, we're quicker and faster than you. And then she drives her car into their car and she's like, well, I have better insurance. So using the vehicle as a weapon is one major act of violence. The next one is following you, and the other one, another act of violence with a vehicle and road rage, is brake checking you at high speeds. Brake checking is when you're on the interstate, the vehicle passes you and then gets in front of you at a very close distance and then slams on their brakes to brake. It's called brake checking, and it's very, very, very dangerous. Physical violence, they get out of the vehicle and then they have a go at you. And as Bluffer says here, yes, middle finger. Jim Bob, what does pet peeve mean? Pet peeve means those things that really, really get you angry. Like you're just like, for example, me is when I go through a set of double doors and one door is locked. I'm like, oh, that's a pet peeve. Okay. So if you are engaged in road rage, and you will know you are engaged in road rage because the other driver is following you. The other driver is climbing on the hood, as here in the image. The other driver is closing space between you and closing up the space between you and them, because when people engage physically, they close up the space and they get in your face. So know that, first and foremost, people cannot stay angry for more than a couple of minutes. So do not unlock the doors. Do not roll down the windows. Do not speak to the person, okay? Don't take pictures. Don't take your camera out and start taking pictures. You want to really, really annoy somebody, start taking pictures of them. They're really, they're going to have a go at you, okay? So, and simply do not talk to the person. The person will come up. Oftentimes what will happen, they'll just have their go at you. They'll yell at you. They'll call you a few names. And then after a couple of minutes of standing out in the public and yelling like a goofball, they'll just leave and go back in their vehicle. If they do pursue this, they do continue to follow you, don't drive home, drive to a public place, drive to find a police officer, call 911, go to a police station, although I don't know what it's like in the United States, but I know here in Canada, if you drive to a police station, it's very difficult that you're going to find somebody at the police station. But usually there's other people around and they will help you out in those types of things. All right? So, remember, let them have their crash somewhere else, okay? The person that cut you off, even though you're getting all bent out of shape, that person may not even have known they've cut you off. Unfortunately, over the years, I've had drivers honk at me, and I accidentally, without knowing, cut them off, especially in a tractor trailer or a larger unit, or you're pulling a trailer, or you're driving a utility van or something like that. You have big blind areas and those types of things, and we're human beings. We make mistakes. So sometimes other drivers may not even know that they made a mistake. But don't engage with other drivers. The other question you need to kind of ask yourself is, what kind of a driver am I? Am I kind of a safety for all kind of person? You know those annoying people that tell you how things always should be done? Those kinds of people, right? Those kinds of people that are out there and they're honking and they're flashing their lights and telling other drivers that they're doing stuff wrong. Don't be one of those people. Okay? So pay attention to your own driving. Focus on what you're doing. And as I said, you don't know who's in the other vehicle. And I'll tell you a story about this with a book that I read while I was doing my dissertation while I was at university, and it's kind of a scary story. So good luck on your driver's test. Good luck with your defensive driving. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. So we'll get back over here. There we go. And Damon, one thing that really annoys me is ill-timed, ill-planned traffic entries. Yes, and a lot of people do that because... And I would argue that half of the people who are going without sufficient gap, or they're trying to merge on, that what's happened is that in many cases they just don't know how to drive, and they've made a mistake and they've mismanaged the gap and those types of things. Goose, pre-driving involves a self-assessment before you get behind the wheel. Are you okay to drive? Therein lies the question. Jim, hey Rick, how many hours should you practice before you take the driving test? Jim, if you're practicing for your driver test and getting ready for your driver's test, I usually recommend kind of 6 to 8 weeks of practice before you take your driver's test. That's kind of my round number, is what I say to students, and usually that will get you prepared. You'll be able to do all of the maneuvers that you need to know. Now, know for the purposes of the driver's test, slow speed maneuvers, backing into a parking space, reverse stall parking, which that's what it's called, parallel parking for almost everywhere except 3 states in the U.S., and then what's the other one? 3-point turn. So you need to be able to do those 3 maneuvers to be successful on your driver's test. And then, of course, all of the other things that you need to do, being able to control your vehicle in changing traffic conditions. So you have due care and control of the vehicle in changing traffic conditions. And if you're not taking driver education with a professional driving instructor, I strongly encourage you to take a mock road test with a driving instructor. So it's just go in and say, listen, I want to book a practice driving test before my driver's test, whatever date that is, and then you need to book it kind of 6 to 8 weeks out, because driving schools are really busy right now after COVID and things kind of opening up and whatnot. But you just want to do a practice driving test, and they'll take you out and they'll assess your abilities and those types of things, and they'll give you feedback on those skills and abilities that you need to kind of strengthen up before you go for your driver's test. All right. Rob, 2 of my cousins recently involved in a highway crash. One is intubated. The other had 4 hours of facial surgery. Yeah. Very sad indeed. Car crashes are really awful, and unfortunately a lot of people, I just cannot say how much damage. We live in a world where there is automotive safety and those types of things, but you can still very, very badly be injured. And not to mention, if you sustain soft tissue damage, which is often what happens in rear end type crashes, you know, that can plague you for the rest of your life and whatnot. So, you know, that's awful. Love your videos. They help me so much. That's awesome. Glad we can help out. Crystal, doing really well. Jimbog, like I ignored a lot when I drive an emergency vehicle in the game with lights and sirens. And yeah, AI doesn't heal. There you go. Exactly. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, no one is perfect. Absolutely. Okay, excellent. Social driving a problem, especially when trying to teach right-of-way and four-way or three-way stops, right? And it comes back to what we say. The right-of-way is never taken, it's always given. And expecting, going out on the roadway and expecting other drivers to not do something goofy is like going to watch your favorite sports team and expecting the other team that they're playing against never to score. Yes, sometimes it happens that the other team doesn't score. But more often than not, the other team does score. And it's the same thing with driving. When you go out and drive, it's not a matter of if another driver is going to do something goofy. It's a matter of when another driver is going to do something goofy. And have you put in skills and techniques, defensive driving strategies that are going to keep you safe in the event of another driver doing something goofy and dumb. Okay? And that's basically what you do. And the defensive driving model that I've created, SPOC 3, which is social driving, which is the problem of driving. This is what you're up against. And then the tools to help make you a safer, smarter driver. And those tools are space management, speed management, observation, and communication, right? You have to observe, you have to communicate effectively because it's a social activity. But space management is like Star Trek. It's the final frontier. And if you can control the space in front of your vehicle, if you can continue to maintain all the time that minimum 3 to 4 second following distance, that is going to be your number one safeguard against being involved in a crash on a roadway. And maintaining that 3 to 4 second following distance, but as well giving up the right of way, giving the right of way to other road users. For example, a pedestrian steps out in front of you off the road and is in front of you. Take your foot off the throttle. Maintain that 3 to 4 second buffer in front of your vehicle. What does it take? 2 seconds out of your day? Yes, it's annoying that they did that, but do what you need to do. Okay? Thank you, Rob. The Dawn. Ty Dawn. Machiavelli. There we go. Taking my driving test in October, and I wanted to say thank you for the navigation and the confidence that I needed, or motivation, sorry, and confidence I needed to pass my driver's test. And we are so happy that we could help out, and good luck on your test. If you have any questions, let us know down in the comments if you're watching now or watching on the replay, and we can help out with your driver's test in preparation for that. Let us know, because there's lots and lots of videos on the YouTube channel, and I know it can be a bit overwhelming. But if you need any help, have any questions, let us know. We'll do the best we can to get back to you. Tim, it works the same way in real life. Lots of drivers choose to ignore emergency vehicles, probably never use their rear view mirrors. I'm only laughing, Tim, because, I look at other drivers when I'm driving and when I'm walking, and I see other drivers, and I think to myself, they're driving by braille, or they're driving using the force. It's just like they're not aware, right? And you need to have, and this goes for all the smart drivers who are here, one of the things that you need to develop when you're driving is a calm awareness. You're calm, you're relaxed, you're doing what you need to do while you're driving, but you're checking your mirrors, you're mapping, you're monitoring, mapping, and tracking other road users in and around your vehicles, and as you're approaching intersections. You're not idle in the vehicle. You can't hit it and quit it. You can't get in the car and just point it down the road and drive it. You're always adjusting. You're always changing. You're always reading the situation and responding and putting in place defensive driving strategies that will keep you safe. You can't just hit it and quit it. You can't just point it down the road, Not look here, not look there. You have to be active. You have to have this calm awareness and this monitoring, mapping, and tracking other road users in and around your vehicle while you're driving. Okay, Damon. I was sitting at a bus stop munching on a pizza when a motorist executed an ill-timed left turn and came to rest like 3 to 5 feet from me after being T-boned. Well, we're happy to hear that you're okay, Damon. Was the person who made the left-hand turn, were they okay? Because there is a very high risk of ill-timing a left-hand turn, and this often happens to new drivers or drivers who aren't paying attention. Yes, it's going to happen, unfortunately. And T-bones in this day and age are not something that you want to happen to you. Trevor, first driving lesson with an instructor on Thursday. Anything I should prepare for or be ready for? Trevor, no. If you can get a bit of driving in before that, it's really going to help you out. Now, keep in mind, Trevor, kind of the common thinking amongst students now is that they can take kind of half a dozen driving lessons with a driving instructor and they're ready to take their driver's test. And that's maybe true for some people, but driving instruction lessons are really designed that you take a driving instruction lesson, then you come back and you drive 5 or 6 hours on your own with your mentor or whomever, and then you take another driving instruction lesson with a professional instructor. And then you work on it on your own for another 5 or 6 hours in the vehicle. That's the way that driving instruction lessons are kind of designed. So if you can do that, you're going to get more out of the lessons with the driving instructor than if you think, oh, I'm just going to take half a dozen or 10 lessons with a driving instructor and I'll be ready for my driver's test. That's not the best way to kind of approach the learning with an instructor. Okay? Ahmed, I was a dummy the other day. It happened to everyone. The next intersection, someone else is a dummy and I helped them. Yeah, that's kind of the way it goes. Drive Smart BC. Tim, video suggestions, scanning strategies. Yes, and I probably need to do that one. Yankee, Rick, how is the driving and traffic in Toronto? Is just as busy as New York City? Yankee, I would argue that yes, it's probably as busy as it is in New York City, no doubt. But if you can handle New York City, you can certainly handle Toronto for sure. Michael, this channel helps me a lot. I take my road test for the first time and I will pass. Absolutely. Bluffer, I can take my road test in December. However, I'm yet to drive in the snow. Very anxious. Any suggestions? Bluffer, Corey will put up the playlist for you on winter driving videos, and probably by the end of October, we're going to be doing some of the winter driving skills and strategies as well that will help you out. And on that note, pass your driver's test first time course package over at the Smart Drive Test website includes both the winter and defensive driving smart courses. Those are included as a bonus. You can pick that up for about $38 US over at the Smart Drive Test website. Corey will put the link up for you. So if you're going into winter, you're learning how to drive, that course is included. Plus as well, it's a fully 100% guaranteed course. If you don't pass, we'll refund your money. So have a look at that over at the Smart Drive Test website. Jello, can I drive barefoot? Is it illegal? Jello, I haven't seen anything, any of the driving manuals or highway traffic act. Maybe Tim or Goose has some information about this, but I haven't seen anything. I haven't come across anything yet that says that it's illegal to drive barefoot. However, it's not, in my opinion, it's not safe to drive barefoot. I have driven vehicles barefoot, and it's a little weird. I do recommend that you have comfortable shoes and not open-toed shoes or high heels. No, I would recommend, running shoes or sneakers to be driving. It's just going to make it a lot easier. Okay? Goose, no, I haven't found anything yet to say that it's illegal to drive barefoot. I think it's one of those myths that gets passed around. Yielding on left turns. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Tim. For sure. My mouse. What's going on with my mouse? My mouse is going crazy on me. All right. Mallory, several years ago, my mom and I were going through one of the toll booths in Nova Scotia when someone almost hit us from the side. But you're okay. That's awesome that you didn't get hurt. That's good. Okay, my mouse is back. Brilliant. Jim Bob, if you don't yield to a personal vehicle with a green light, is it a fail? Jim Bob, are you in Ontario with Green Lights Volunteers? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. Tim says no rules about driving barefoot in BC. And Tim, I haven't found anything in any other driving manuals or anything in any highway traffic acts about driving barefoot. Damon, I have a hypothesis about how to avoid the side blind area. Try to keep the inside rear wheel of the other vehicle between the A-pillars. Yeah, Damon, maybe send me an email on that. We can kind of explore that a little bit more. That would be great. Ahmed, front-wheel drive with winter tires works pretty good, if not better than just all-wheel drive. In my opinion, I've driven in Wisconsin winters with front-wheel drive with and without winter tires, and winter tires are the best. Ahmed, I cannot agree more. If you are driving in any ice or snow, put winter tires on your vehicle, and put 4 winter tires on your vehicle. Even a cheap set of winter tires is going to be better than all season anytime. Okay, so yes, definitely equip your vehicle with winter tires. And here's the other thing: if you're going to buy a set of winter tires, go out and buy a cheap set of rims. All right, because you're going to save money. And I was home when I was home in August. I was visiting my brother. My brother has a mechanic shop, and people are actually surprised when he tells them this, that if you buy a set of winter tires and put them on steel rims, which are, you know, cheap, you can pick up a set for a couple $100, you know, and winter tires are going to last you about 5 years. It's only going to cost you $30 to switch out your tires from seasonal tires to your winter tires every year, as opposed to like $150 if you get your tires pulled off the rims and then your winter tires put back on the rims. So you can save yourself, you know, a few $100 there over the course of a few years if you get your winter tires put onto separate steel rims, and then you can do that in the fall and the winter. And the other thing is, you can do that yourself. If you know how to change tires, you can change out the tires yourself and then just take them into a shop. If you don't have a torque wrench, and just get them torqued up, right? You just go into any tire shop and say, listen, I need a retorque, and they'll just come out and do it for you. Okay? Jake, can you make a video for parallel parking with backup cameras? Jake, the video on how to parallel park a big vehicle will help you out with that, because there is a backup camera. But again, Jake, you can't use the backup camera as your primary line of sight. You have to use it sparingly, as you would your mirrors, but you still need to be looking out through the back window for the purposes of your driver's test. Okay? Minaj, so front-wheel drive vehicle is not preferable in winter season. I have never driven in winter, and I'm planning to buy a vehicle. No, Minaj, if you have a front-wheel drive vehicle with winter tires on it, that is going to help you. It's going to do really well in the wintertime, okay? And see, Tim says he changes his own tires by hand. And you know, sometimes I don't take it in the tire shop, because the tire shops get really busy in the fall, especially during changeout season. And, you know, it's just kind of a hassle to go in and get it done. And it's $30, but, you know, like Tim and I said, it's really easy. You know, you just pop your tires on and make sure. And here's the other thing about changing your tires is that you also want to rotate your tires. So when you pull your tires off, you want to take a marker and mark your tires on the inside. You know, front right, front left, rear right, rear left tires. And when you rotate your tires, and you should be rotating your tires every 10,000 kilometers, so or 10,000 kilometers or 8,000 miles, you should be rotating your tires on your vehicle. And essentially the fronts go to the back, and the back left goes to the front right, and the back right, back left goes to the front right. So basically the rear tires go to the opposite side on the front, but the two front ones go straight back. Okay, that's the way you want to rotate your tires. So you want to, when you take your tires off your vehicle, you want to just note on the tires, just use a piece of chalk pen or something you can write on the inside of the tire wall. Okay? Oh, Jim Bob, you're talking about volunteers. Rob, what's the... Is there any bylaw or law? I haven't read any laws in the province of Ontario about volunteers, and whether you have to pull over and wait for volunteers like as you do emergency vehicles. I don't know what the rules are around that. Maybe you can give me some information on that. Okay. Kyle, will they let me take my road test with M&S tires and October 26th in British Columbia. Yes, they will, Kyle. M&S tires are mud and snow, and they are winter rated tires, so they will let you take your driver's test with those tires on your vehicle. Cole, road test is on Friday. What can I expect, Rick? Any advice? I've watched a lot of your videos. Yes, Corey will put up the playlist for you, Cole, on final days before your driver's test. Cole, no, a couple of things you need to do to pass your driver's test. You know, first of all, take away the examiner's right to fail you. Nothing more, nothing less. You need to demonstrate to the examiner that you have due care and control of the vehicle in changing traffic conditions. So you have to do all of the things. So when you go into the driving, so before you show up, make sure you do a pre-trip inspection on your vehicle. Get rid of all of the fast food wrappers in the wheel wells and those, and the foot wells rather, and all those types of things, right? Make sure that all your lights are working, because, and especially your brake lights, because you don't want to be denied your test because you had a brake light out. So do a pre-trip inspection. You know, maybe vacuum it out. It's kind of nice. Give it a wash. Make sure you got nice clothes on and those types of things. Margaret's not here, so we're not going to make any comments about makeup. But anyway, make sure you have all your paperwork. You have your license, another piece of identification just in case. Make sure you have money, because it costs money for your test, and two, it'd be administer your license test afterwards. Make sure you show up 20 to 30 minutes before your test. Figure out where you need to park, back into the parking space. There will be reserved parking spots for driving tests for those people showing up for driver's tests. So show up 20 to 30 minutes before. It makes you back into the space, go in, register, come out, wait. The examiner will come out. Depending on where you are, it's going to be a little bit different. Look for signs that prohibit you backing into the space a bit. In most DMVs, you can back into the space and then come out. The examiner will do the mini pre-trip inspection, listen to what he or she is saying, know how to turn on the defrost, windshield wipers, high-low beams. They may ask you those things, okay? Also know how to do your hand signals for left turns, right turns, slowing down or stopping. They may ask you that as well. And then when you leave the parking space, make sure that you signal out of the parking space. For everybody taking a driver's test, whether you're here on the live stream or whether you're on the replay, know the first 5 minutes of your driver's test is critical. You got to have it all together and everything good and going well, because if you can get through the first 5 minutes, after that, most of it's good, okay? Lamb Sauce, have you ever met someone who decided to wear a suit for their road test? Lamb Sauce, I can't say that I have yet seen somebody wear a suit for their test. Okay, Jim, how many people pass their driving test the first time they drive? Jim, if they don't take driver training, the chances of passing are like 1 in 2. It's like 50%. If they take driver training or some form of driver training, it's higher than 95% for a pass rate for those that take driver training. Okay, Imran, in terms of charges, are left turn accidents always the fault of the person turning left? Someone I know got in, spun around. She was hit at the right rear tire. She drove a large car. Imran, not always. You might get hit from the rear. It's difficult to say. Every traffic crash is kind of individual and has to be looked in on and investigated on its own merits. Tim, careful. Some radials and directional tires need to stay on the same side of the vehicle. Okay. Yep. So Tim's absolutely right. And the other way that you can figure that out in terms of tire rotation is to go on the website. The brand of tire that you have, just simply go on their website and they'll show you how to rotate the tires. They'll show you what you need to do. I'm usually use Michelin, so the way that I told you was the way to rotate your tires. But as Tim said, sometimes it's just front to back and then back to front is the other way that you rotate your tires. Excellent. Thanks, Tim. Should I rotate the spare tire as well? Minosh, you can rotate the spare tire if it's the same as the other 4 tires, but there's a lot of cars now that they have space saver spares, or they have a spare that's not the same as the other tires, and if that's the case, then no, you don't rotate the spare. Okay? Bluffer, also something I've heard you say is if you make a mistake, don't dread on it, just keep going. Bluffer, thank you for the reminder, and that is absolutely true during a driver's test. If you made a mistake and you think, oh my God, I just failed my driver's test, Listen to the instructions of the examiner. Don't get stuck in the mistake, because the examiner may not even have seen it, or it may not be as major as you think, right? Part of doing your driver's test is to focus on what you're doing. And if you make a mistake, just like take a breath and carry on, okay? Keep going until the examiner tells you not to keep going, okay? All right. Excellent. Okay, Mac, can you fail the novice road test if you don't go do parallel parking? Okay, so Mac, you can do well on your driver's test and not do the parallel parking very well, and you could potentially still pass your driver's test. And the reason for that is because if you drive in a forward motion well, you're reading and responding well to changing traffic conditions. You have excellent observation skills. You're communicating effectively with other drivers while you're driving. And then you come to the parallel park, and the parallel park goes kind of, and it doesn't go well. But you don't strike the curb, and you don't push the tire up over the curb, but you do everything else right, but you're kind of crooked and wonky when you get it in there. There's a good chance you're still going to pass because you've got everything else in place. But we're talking about new drivers, and usually if a new driver can't parallel park, it's usually an indication that they haven't spent enough time behind the wheel. They simply don't have enough experience, and because they don't have experience, the parallel parking is just symptomatic of everything else that shows that you didn't practice enough. That's all. But sometimes it happens. Sometimes they can make it happen that students can botch the parallel parking, but everything else goes well, and they do in fact pass. But again, it's up to the discretion of the examiner, okay? Novice, I passed my driver's test just by watching your videos. That is awesome. Congratulations on passing your test. That is tremendous news. Amy, can I only wait for the protected green arrow left turn at a big intersection instead of creeping up to find the spot to turn? What if I'm stuck in the middle of the intersection? Well, Amy, first of all, I'm hoping that you're not in the middle of the intersection. Okay? You can wait for the protected green, but that's kind of a discretionary thing, and this is one of the things that I counsel you to either work with a driving instructor or work with your mentor who has experience in doing left-hand turns. Again, I come back to the left-hand turns. Put your front steer tires on the front crosswalk line, and that's where you wait. That way you're not in the intersection if something goes wrong. You're committed to the intersection, but you're not in the intersection. And watch the left-hand turn video. Corey will put that up for you. When you see the gap coming on the other side, that's when you drive straight into the intersection. And when the gap comes, and you're basically meeting the gap. So you see your gap here, your gap is coming, your gap is coming. You start driving forward. When the gap comes, boom, there's the gap, and then you turn. If you're sitting in the intersection, you're waiting, you're in the wrong place because you're going to get caught out, you don't have enough speed. And the other defensive driving technique with all of this and doing it correctly for the purposes of a driver's test is that as you're driving straight forward, you're gaining some speed. So the amount of time that you're sitting across the path of oncoming traffic is reduced. Instead of starting from a dead stop in the center of the intersection and trying to get your car going, you now already have you're already rolling, you're already moving your vehicle. So you move forward to meet the gap, and then you shoot through the intersection, and you reduce the amount of time that you're in the danger zone. And that's why you do that with stopping, so your front steer tires are on the front crosswalk line. And people say, oh, you're going to impede traffic, you need to get more vehicles into the intersection. No, you're not impeding traffic, because oftentimes when you go on that gap, 2 or 3 cars are going to come in behind you as well. So there's going to be sufficient gap, and you're not holding up traffic. Lamb sauce, what should I be looking when I'm reverse parking, Rick? Lamb sauce, one of the things that I recommend when backing into a parking space is try to back in beside another vehicle. That's always going to be easier than just trying to back in between the lines when there aren't any other vehicles around you, because if you have a landmark that you can see, it makes it easier to maneuver the vehicle. If you are trying to back into the space with just the lines, there's a couple of strategies that you can use. First of all, if you're in a big parking lot, the lines of the parking space in front of you are almost always in line with the space that you're trying to park into. So you can look forward and make sure that your vehicle is lined up with that space in front. The next thing you can do is lean up like this. So kind of go up in the car so you're looking down at the mirrors. And when you're looking down at the wing mirror, you can see the lines on the pavement, and that will help you out as well to back into a parking space and make it a bit easier for you to do that. Rob says parallel parking is the worst of your worries, and I would agree with Rob. However, there are a lot of other skills that you learn when you're parallel parking and learning how to parallel park. You learn where your vehicle is in space and place. In other words, you learn how close you can get to other things because you're dealing with those blind areas. The biggest blind area is to the rear, but your second biggest blind area is on the passenger side of the vehicle. So parallel parking is teaching you that spatial orientation. Where is your vehicle in relationship to the vehicle in front, to the curb, and to the vehicle behind? So you're learning valuable skills. You're also learning how to manipulate the primary controls. Yes, it's not a big part of your driver's test, but it's the 80-20 thing. If you invest 20% of your time in learning how to parallel park, how to back into a parking space, you're going to get an 80% return on that investment because it's going to translate into your overall driving and make you a better driver faster. Of course, there's all the other pieces of learning how to drive and be a defensive driver and whatnot, but spend time on slow speed maneuvers. Ahmed, you can clear the intersection before it turns red. Once you are in the intersection, you just have to make sure the vehicle coming doesn't run the light. Wouldn't recommend doing it all the time. Yes, you can go on the yellow, but again, drive straight into the intersection because while you're driving straight into the intersection, you're making sure that that oncoming traffic is in fact coming to a stop. Tim, make sure that the parked vehicle is well positioned before you use it as a landmark. Yes, and that is an excellent point, Tim. Thank you for reminding me that. It's the same thing as parallel parking. When you're coming up in preparation to parallel park, see where the vehicle is. Is it close to the curb or is it far away from the curb? Because if it's close to the curb, then you don't want to cut your vehicle in as deep. If it's far away from the curb, then you have to go farther in to get your vehicle close to the curb. So know that for the purposes of preparing, practicing these maneuvers that you have to do some of that. Awaited, I passed my test today watching these videos. Awesome. That is tremendous news. Congratulations. Really good. Awesome. What'd you do to celebrate passing your driver's test? Epic, my friend. The most dangerous spot dealing with dummies and horn honkers is a 4-lane expressway due to speed. Parts of the northeast, like Pennsylvania, have them predominantly, unlike New Jersey and New York, various lane lengths. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff going on interstates and parkways and those types of things in the U.S. and freeways and highways, whatnot. You have different people doing different speeds above the posted speed limit. Some people insisting on doing the speed limit, and you got to move in and out of those types of things. So there's a lot going on. You'll definitely get horn honkers and whatnot. So pay attention, be proactive, and read and respond to the traffic on the roadway when you're on highways, interstates, and parkways and whatnot. Brian, thank you for this info. You're most welcome, my friend. Wolf, have you ever had an incident where you couldn't see the pedestrian in the crosswalk due to limited visibility, but you stopped just in time? Funny you say that, Wolf. A week ago, I'm driving down the road. There's a crosswalk on 27th Street, which is a busy street here in Vernon, and there's just these goofy crosswalks like on the major street. I don't really agree with them. They really should have traffic lights at them because pedestrians just walk out and you're not really expecting the pedestrians walking out. So anyway, what happens is there's a left center turning lane and I'm beside the vehicle. I'm coming up on the vehicle that's turning left and I'm behind the vehicle, the pedestrian standing right in front of the vehicle in the vehicle turning left in the left center turning lane. And I get up beside him and I'm like, oh my God, there's a pedestrian in the crosswalk. Yeah. And then the funny part about it was Jason sends me a comment on the YouTube channel. He's like, hey, I just met a famous person. I was the guy walking all across the crosswalk. So yes, it has happened to me. It has happened to me. Tim, that's why it's illegal to pass a vehicle that is stopped for a pedestrian. Yes, of course. And, but unfortunately it happens. I didn't see Jason, the pedestrian, in the crosswalk until I was right beside the other vehicle. I'm like, oh, there's a pedestrian in the crosswalk. Yeah, so I don't like those crosswalks on 27th Street at all. Weather. I only honk my horn when someone's about to run into me or when someone's not paying attention at an intersection when the light turns green. Yes, weather, I do tap my horn for those people too, where the light's green and you're sitting there for like 15 seconds and they're like, what are you doing? They're on their phone or they're doing something else that's distracting behavior and those types of things, so I just beep the horn at them. Tim, good night, my friend. Have an awesome dinner, and we will see you next week, my friend. Crystal, today I did good on my driving and doing the slow speed maneuvers. However, I have to know the difference between a curve and a turn because I have trouble with my right hand turns, but I will learn. And yeah, Crystal, it's just a matter of practice. Curves are just when the road goes around like this, but a turn is when you're actually moving the vehicle 90 degrees, right? You're moving it from this direction to that direction on a right hand turn, or this direction to that direction on a left hand turn. Bluffer, I'd be curious about what you think of this. If you live in a smaller city and have been practicing lots, driving to a bigger city, more traffic. I recently did this, drove to and in Vancouver with my L. Bluffer, and all the experience that you can get is going to help you become a safer, smarter driver. So if you get an opportunity to go from a small town in the interior of British Columbia or in any state in the US, and you get a chance to go to one of the metropolitan cities and drive around, that is excellent experience for you as a learner driver, and that experience will move your learning, move your driving ability forward. The dividends, the return on investment is incredible. I cannot, advocate you doing that enough. I just really, you should do that if you get the chance to do it. For sure, absolutely do that. All right, and again, just to repeat, pass your driver's test first time includes both the Smarter Driver course package, or includes defensive driving and winter driving smart courses over at the Smart Drive Test website. You can pick that up for about $38 US. Completely guaranteed. If you don't pass your driver's test, we'll give you your money back. So go over there, check that out. Corey's put the link up already, but have a look at that if you're working towards your driver's test. Ahmed, couple of seconds is fine because people run the yellow all the damn time, but 10 to 15 seconds honk for sure. Yeah, and don't honk like an angry honk. Just a honk, like a tap saying, hey, wake up there. Because, what we're talking about today in terms of road rage and aggression, if you hold the horn, they might get out of the vehicle, come back, and then we're into a road rage incident. So keep yourself safe, and communicate effectively with the horn, because unfortunately, in this day and age, the horn is seen as a sign of aggression in most cases. All right? Ahmed, I avoid driving to Chicago because all the stereotypes of terrible aggressive drivers. Ahmed, I would encourage you to drive to Chicago. I would encourage you to drive in Chicago. I've been through Chicago a number of times. Driving your car, I think it would be lots of fun. And I mean, now in this day and age, we have GPS. So, if you get an opportunity to go to Chicago, go to the Windy. Have a great time and see the sights and drive around. I think it would be a really terrific experience. Daniel, I'm 14 years old and a car enthusiast. When I'm driving around, my parents say I have a really heavy foot, even when I'm going under the speed limit. However, when I see them driving, I'll look. Okay, Daniel, where are you driving that you're 14? I know there are some places that they do allow you to get a learner's and drive when you're 14. Where is it? Daniel, at the speedometer, and they are going 20 or more over. Yeah, there's lots of people who are going 20 or more over when they're driving. Awaited, I'm going to bed. Keep up the great work. Thank you, my friend. Have a great night. Sammy, you were the reason I got my license over 3 years ago. Thank you, Sammy. Thank you for continuing to be part of the Smart Driver community. And thank you for popping in and saying so. That is awesome. And how has the driving been going over the last 3 years? Excellent. Corey put the link up for the Smarter Driver course package. Check that out. Bluffer, I think we got to embrace bad drivers and bad pedestrians, get used to it. Yes, and that's what we said at the beginning. Bluffer is, going out and expecting it not to happen is the same thing as going to watch your favorite sports team play a game and expecting the opposing team not to score. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's not a matter of if it's going to happen. It's a matter of when it's going to happen. And it happens all the time. Excellent. That is really great news, Sammy, that your driving is going awesome. So great. There's nothing better than getting your driver's license and driving around. Just the empowerment of driving is awesome. Mallory, when I see bad drivers on the road, I tell them to go home and watch your channel. That's awesome, Mallory. DC, in other countries, the horn is also used to communicate with other drivers on narrow streets. And DC, you're absolutely correct. So I should preface that by saying, in North America, the horn is seen as a sign of aggression. But in other countries, it's basically a sign of communication that you're basically on the horn using it all the time. Ahmed, I lived in New Delhi for many years, and the horn is basically how cars communicate. It was normal, yes, and thank you for that, for correcting me on that, and that it is seen as a sign of aggression in North America. And it's interesting that you kind of say that in New Delhi, the horn, the sound of traffic and the kind of sound, the urban sounds that you used to, it was like when I lived in Melbourne for 5 years, the trams and the street trolleys all have bells on them. So anytime they go through an intersection, it's like ding ding, and it's like they're coming up to the stop, and it's like ding ding. And then I go to Toronto, which also has streetcars and has trams, but there's no bells, and I'm like, oh, isn't that very different? It's and it's kind of like the horn and how we use the horn, and how in some cities in the world the horn is seen as a sign of communication, and here in North America it's seen as a sign of aggression. So interesting how that works. Wolf, do I root for the Vancouver Canucks? No, I don't, unfortunately, even though I live here. But I'm a transplant, okay? Hockey's not really my thing, though. So, but go Canucks. Aviation, I have a question regarding potholes, if it's okay to gently swerve around them. Aviation, yes, it's okay to move around potholes as long as you don't go out of your lane. And there is a video here, actually, oddly enough, on potholes, and if Corey can find that, he'll put that up for you as well. What should I use for parking since I don't have cones? Use anything. Use golf bags, anything you have in the house that you can put up as use as a landmark. That's what you need to do, okay? Sammy, I've driven from New Mexico, U.S. to Oregon several times. It's a 21-hour drive. That's awesome, Sammy, and I know what you're saying in terms of a long drive. I just drove across Canada from British Columbia all the way to Ontario, and it was like 5 days coming back. Usually it should take you 5 days. I did a little bit less than that on the way out. Damon, how can I convey to another motorist to be cautious about deer and moose after seeing one earlier? Damon, one of the things you can do is if you saw a deer along the roadway, you can kind of flash your lights at oncoming traffic. That will kind of warn them. Other than that, there isn't much you can do in terms of warning other traffic about animals on the roadway and whatnot. Lamb Sauce, do you think new drivers driving at night consistently makes them a safer, better driver, Rick? Yes. Any experience of driving at night, driving consistently is going to help you out and be better. Driving at night is tough, and because we lose half of our ability to see in the dark, right? And the farther you get away from urban areas, from cities, the more you become reliant on your headlights of your vehicle. And if you get into a dark place where there aren't any street lights and there isn't any ambient lights from the city streets and stores and stuff, you'll find that it's pretty difficult to drive with just the headlights. Corey will also put up the video on night driving for you, and that will give you tips and strategies to be able to drive at night and make it easier for you. Because believe it or not, the number one skill for driving at night is figuring out where the road's going in the landscape. And if you can do that, then the rest of it, avoiding animals, reading road signs, knowing where the road's going, watching other traffic, and those types of things are going to be easier when you're driving at night. Wolf, one of my favorite tips from you is always shoulder check. I'm very thankful for that advice. It can save your life and prevent crashes. And you're absolutely right, Wolf. You know, and I cannot stress this enough for smart drivers. Shoulder check, shoulder check, shoulder check. And as I say, my saying of shoulder checking, not shoulder checking when you're driving, is the same as not checking to see whether a weapon is loaded before handling it in terms of gun safety, right? You'd never pick up a gun and not check to see whether it was loaded before you started working with it. So why would you take a 2-ton vehicle, move it down the road at speed, and move it sideways and not shoulder check to see whether there was something there? Okay, so it's the same thing. Absolutely. Thank you. FM, good luck on your driver's test on Tuesday. Remember to breathe. That will help your body to relax and allow you to focus on what you need to do. And as well, for those of you taking driver's tests, make sure you go to the bathroom before you take your driver's test, because it's really hard to do your test when you got to go pee. Yeah, I know. Mallory, one time while driving on the highway here in Nova Scotia, I saw a truck pulling a house. I've never seen that before. Yes, the house moving people are still out there, and every now and again they are moving houses on public highways. You know, also big loads, oversized loads, and those types of things. Most of the time with oversized loads, they're moving them at night because there's less traffic on the roadway. So that's often why you don't see them. And Corey's put up the video for night driving. Thank you for that, Corey. Dark Flame, how do you deal with people who cut you off because you are a learner? Dark Flame, let them go and have their crash somewhere else. I know it's annoying. I know that you want to honk your horn or flash your lights or whatnot, but just take a breath and just say to yourself, okay, dummy, go and have your crash somewhere else. One of the things that's really tough about learning how to drive, you have to focus on what you're doing. You really got to focus your energy on that. So do that. Check your pistol. Thank you, Rob. Jello, what kind of tint do you recommend for safety and privacy as well? Jello, you want to go to a tint shop that's going to do your windows. They will be able to tell you exactly how much you can tint your windows. And here in British Columbia, one of my mates was going to get his windows tinted, and they actually recommended that he didn't do it. And he actually had to sign a waiver saying that he would take full responsibility for it, because I guess there's been some court action that they've come back on the tint companies. So go to the tint shop. They will be able to give you the information about how much you can do that. I can't give you that information because it's different for every place, every state, every province. Excellent. We look forward to hearing from you, FM. That's going to be great that you're going to pass your driver's test and get going. Awesome. My friend Blessed, off topic, what brand do you use to wash your vehicle? Can you do a video on cleaning products for windows and tires that you use? There are so many of them. Yes, Blessed, I really like Meguiar. And oddly enough, I have a video in the hopper on how to wash your vehicle and what products and whatnot that I use to do that. And yes, I can do that for you. And maybe, Blessed, just send me an email and I'll send you the stuff that I use, and that will help you out. But Meguiar car shampoo is the one that I use. I really like it because the other thing that I learned about car shampoo is that you don't get water spots on your vehicle after it dries. I didn't know that. And you get a much nicer shine on your vehicle than just using, old dish soap. And I learned that a few years ago. So that's the one that I use. Sin, can two cars move at the same time at a four-way stop, even if they're not crossing each other, even if they did not arrive at the same time? Sin, yes, two cars can go at the same time at a four-way stop. So essentially what happens is when four-way stops get busy, this lane of traffic will go, and then this lane of traffic will go, and the two vehicles across from each other will go. The reason for that is just to facilitate the movement of traffic through the intersection. So if vehicles aren't turning, then yes, they can go at the same time. So know that. And the other thing that I would suggest, if you're unclear about four-way stops, the best strategy to learn how to handle four-way stops is to simply go down to the intersection there and watch the traffic move through the four-way stop sign intersection, and that, within 10 minutes you'll know sort of how people do that and whatnot. So yes, two vehicles can go at the same time. Epic, is there a way to deal with dummies on the highway or four-lane freeways, because when they're traveling to New York, almost got into a high-speed crash, he prevented it by braking? Yeah, Epic, you just got to manage space around your vehicle, and you really have to manage that space in front of your vehicle. And when you're on highways, I really advocate that kind of 3 to 4 second following distance, and that's really going to help you out. And of course, you're going to have to get off the throttle sometimes to maintain that buffer of space, but if you can do that, that's going to keep you safe when you're driving at higher speeds on the roadway. Yes, Crick's Mothers is great too. So there's lots of good ones out there, but again, my preference is Meguiar. Ahmed, I have many four-way stops near my house. That's how I learned. And yes, again, coming back to four-way stops, just go down to the intersection and watch the traffic move through the intersection, and that will really help you out when you're learning how to drive and deal with those intersections, because four-way stop signs can be a bit confusing at the beginning when you're learning how to drive. And there are some stop sign videos here on the channel, and Corey will put that playlist up for you as well, and you can have a look at those, and that will help you out as well. All right, so we're at the top of the hour here. We're going to leave it there for tonight. If you have any questions, you're watching on the replay, leave a comment down in the comment section there. Always love to hear from you. Helps us out, gets things going, gets the brain juices going, and helps you out and become a safer, smarter driver. If you passed your license test in the last couple of weeks, good luck on that. And if you have a test coming up, or congratulations on that. If you have a test coming up, good luck on that. Remember to breathe. It'll cause your body to relax, and you're going to do great. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a great night. Bye now.